Do you know how much even a little book can have a transforming power in your life? We think about books and we think about how educational they are and how inspiring they can be, but they can also be transformational. I had this opportunity of having a book published several years ago. It was entitled God's Little Book of Prayer. Just a small little book. And about 6 months after that book was published, I received a letter from the editor from someone in Zimbabwe who had read my book at the point of suicide. Their mother had committed suicide, their sister had committed suicide, all within a space of just a few weeks. And he was on the verge of doing the same thing. Life was at its lowest ebb. And somehow somebody gave him a copy of that book, God's Little Book of Prayer. And he read that book. And he says in his letter how as he read it, he heard God speak to his heart, and his heart was transformed. He embraced the love of God in his life, and he gave his life to Jesus. He read about how God can give him a plan and give him a future. And he was able to write all this down, and he returned it to me. And as I read that letter, it was so heartwarming just to hear that, just to read that while I was perhaps eating or sleeping or working, someone was about to be saved by reading something that I had done 6 months ago. Books have a wonderful transforming power, and that's why I pledge to their importance. There's something dynamic that happens when you open that book and you begin to read the words of that book. It's good to have visual learning, which we're used to in this day and age, but there's nothing that can replace that book. When you open it and you read those words, there's an internalization that takes place between those words and your thoughts and your mind. There's a relationship that takes place that's embedded in our hearts, in our minds, that enables us to empower those words. Those words take on a greater impact. And you know, when we have those books and we read books, it does educate us, it does inspire us, but let us not forget the transforming power and influence of a written book.